Hi, this is Carrie. Welcome to part 6 of my 6-part series on things to think about and do before you move to Mexico. For a quick review, I broke it down into 5 sort of buckets or main topics, and we've covered all of them except this last one. And that list was the drivers, the reasons you're leaving the U.S. and coming to Mexico or whatever country you're considering. Your long-term intention, your approach to living outside the U.S., how you're going to handle learning a new language, the level or type of engagement mentality you bring with you, and then today's topic, decisions around where and how you're going to live. So as I said in my very first overview video, one of the things that caused me to come up with this series was watching YouTube videos and about why we're leaving and why it's hard and why we made a mistake. And oh, by the way, we can help you be successful if you want to move to Mexico, and many of them have services that they want you to buy from them to help you relocate to Mexico. And then when you listen to these videos, they will list things like people that can help you with your paperwork at immigration, trusted real estate agents, and that sort of thing. And that particular real estate agent thing is central to the topic we're going to be talking about today. It seems like the videos that the algorithm has fed me, at least, are people who want to come to Mexico. They want to live adjacent to a tourist, an American or U.S. tourist area. They are looking for English-speaking restaurants, grocery stores, this kind of thing. They want to be catered to as Americans, and there's a certain standard of living that they want to maintain that's an American standard of living, which may not be customary to the area where they're moving. Okay? And that's one way to move to Mexico, all right? But I would assert that you aren't really moving to Mexico if that's what you're doing. What you're really doing is looking for an extended vacation property where you can come down and stay and do and act and be American, and just be American in an exotic location, but continue to stay having your life centered as an American as opposed to entering in. And the reason that you need these trusted real estate agents is because if you live in those kinds of areas, you are often displacing local residents. You are driving up the cost of rent for the apartments that are available in the area as the area is filling up and becoming more and more Americanized. And my suggestion is that if you're going to move to Mexico, that you really move to Mexico. And the items on these lists, the first 5 things that we talked about, or the first 4 things that we talked about, have all been ways to help you get ready for that transition of yourself that needs to happen if you want to be successful here. And moving to Mexico and not living in an American neighborhood really should be part of moving to Mexico. So let's talk about some of the things you're likely to run into. Everything takes longer here. Everything takes longer to get done, and you need to just accept it. I spent several weeks when I first came down here a year ago frustrated with how long it took to get things done. we would run into the market town to pick up what I thought were one or two things needed for the construction project, and it would take all day. And by the time we got back to the rancho, the people working would be done for the day. And so whatever that project was that I thought was going to get done that day wouldn't even get worked on until the next day, if we were lucky, depending on what else was going on in the life of the person who was doing the work. All right. So part of living in Mexico, and impacted directly by where you live, your choice of location and apartment, is accepting that when you do need services, it takes longer to get things done. And so I've put some things in place. I'm going to encourage you to put some things in place that will help you navigate some of those differences. But you really need to accept that it's different. Okay? You're not going to turn it into America, and I suspect that's true even if you move into an American enclave. Otherwise, there wouldn't be all these videos about why people are leaving. All right? So accept it. It's going to take longer to get things done. You can't control it. Now's a good time to learn that you can't control certain things, and you'll be much happier if you just let go of that need for control and take it as it comes. Public utilities are not reliable, and this is true in the market town, not just here on the rancho, okay? So if you drive through town, you will see most people have a bulk water tank on their roof. People who have city water have a bulk water tank on their roof. Now, we could chase the rabbit of why we didn't put that bulk water tank in when we did the initial remodeling a year ago, but we have one now, and the city water feeds that tank. It has a float, so when it's full it shuts off, and when I need water it comes out the bottom of that tank, and we've installed a pressure boosting pump, so I have a reliable water supply with good water pressure, even on the days when, for whatever reason, we don't have city water. So public utilities are not reliable. They do not keep redundant parts. When the water pump broke, it was 4 or 5 days before we got water again, and that was before we had our bulk tank. So we had to find every container we could, and we went to the river to fill up water containers, and I'm boiling water, and that's the water we're using. I did buy some separate water just for drinking, but for cooking and everything else, we were using river water. Okay, so it's different. And putting things like a bulk tank in place will help you address that. But accept the reality that there's not another water pump sitting out the utility waiting to be switched over like there would be in the United States. The same is true with the power grid. We have a matrixed power grid in the United States, and when our power goes out, a lot of it is automatic, but you know, an alarm goes off and the system reroutes itself because it's matrixed, and it can route around that broken transformer or that downed power line. And so this is not strictly speaking true in some rural communities. Those of us from the Midwest have experienced winter power outages because of overhead lines that come down, and people can be without power for days. And it is extremely common here. There are days when there is no power for no reason. If we're lucky, they will tell us the day before, hey, the power's going to be out from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. tomorrow. We can plan around that, but they don't always tell us. And the other day when there was a storm, the power went out in the middle of the night, and it did not come on until about 8 o'clock the following evening. So utilities are unreliable. I've recently bought a generator to address this problem, and I am waiting patiently for my electrical contractor to come out and connect that generator to our main supply so that we can use that generator to run the refrigerators and air conditioning when we are without power. All right? So, I'm old enough to remember having kerosene lamps for when the power went out. And so here we have candles We keep candles on hand, and even once I get a generator, I'm sure there will be times when candles will be what we're using, because we may not turn the generator on immediately, or we may not run the generator the entire time. We may just run it part of the time to run the air conditioning, run the refrigerator, and then turn it off for a while. So if you're going to live in Mexico, you need to come down here understanding that even if you live in an American enclave, even if you live in an urban area, even if you live close to a tourist area, the public utilities are not reliable in the same way that they are in the United States. And you need to be prepared to accept that. Checking my notes. Oh, I can't get blank here. All right, so fill in the blank. There are things that you're going to be used to buying in the United States or having in the United States that you're just not going to be able to get here. All right, and I spent my first few trips back and forth to the United States bringing stuff back with me. All right, bringing stuff back with me. But what I'm finding out is that the list of things I think I need to bring back is getting shorter. All right, some of the stuff is available here. I just have to look for it. It might be harder. I might have to go to more than one store to get everything on my list. But that many of the things that I thought I couldn't get here, I can. My little kitchen scale broke recently, and I use it. I think it's important to weigh my shortening and flour when I'm making pie crust if I want it to turn out just right. And I could tell you the whole story, but in any event, my kitchen scale broke. And so I am conducting an experiment. I have ordered a replacement online from a Mexican online retailer, and I am waiting to see if it's going to be delivered to me. They say it's going to be delivered to me out here on the rancho. We'll see. We'll see. I got a notice yesterday saying, oh, we tried and the address was wrong. Well, the address wasn't wrong. The address is out here in the middle of nowhere. But it said they would retry today, so we will see if it comes today. And if it does, that's going to change things fundamentally, because this will increase even longer the list of things that I can buy locally and don't have to plan around when I make a trip back to the United States. So this item is not just about sort of physically where I'm going to live, but again, how do I access locally the things I need so that I'm not bringing that American entitlement mentality with me? My husband can get frustrated with me because there'll be something I'll want, and I know we might have to ask at 2 or 3 different stores to find the right little mercado that sells this particular thing. But what I've learned over the last year is that somebody probably does. Somebody probably does. And maybe the first store, the second store isn't the right one, but the person running that store might be able to direct me to the store that is the right one. And again, you can find that to be fun. You can find that to be part of your adventure, or you can just get frustrated. I urge you to look at it as part of the adventure of entering in and actually living here so that you could learn to love your life here in Mexico. Well, that's it. What's your intention? Why are you coming down here? Why are you leaving? Why are you coming? And those are not the same question. What's your long-term intention? Are you going to stay an American expat where your world is still focused on the U.S.? Are you going to actually allow yourself to transform into an immigrant so that this new country becomes your home? How are you going to approach language learning? If you haven't already started learning Spanish or whatever the new language is where you're moving, you need to start now. Even if you're not planning on moving for 5 years, you need to start now. Find ways to use it. Learn that language. It will help you be successful. Examine yourself and the way you approach engagement with the people around you and the people in your community. I urged you in the last video to check out a channel called Hispano Studies. He's got some great videos on there, but one about living in community and the Mexican approach and thinking around community I found extremely helpful, and I would encourage you to listen to it multiple times, and I think you'll find it helpful for you too. And then really think about where you're going to live and whether you're going to move down here and live in the middle of a bunch of other Americans, or if you're going to come down here and actually move to Mexico. I hope you'll move to Mexico. Just remember, Douglas Adams told us, wherever you go, there you are. Who are you going to bring with you to Mexico? What kind of person are you? What kind of person are you becoming? Okay? Be the kind of person that's going to come down here, embrace the new community, embrace the adventure, and really enjoy living in Mexico. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.